All right, Ruth, go ahead and set it off.
Yes, yes. Are we live? We are live. Yes, yes. Peace, 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 peace. And welcome to another episode of UnRead with Nick and Rue. It is Saturday. And as you see, we have two beautiful people here with us today. And you know what? We are celebrating Poetry Month. Now, usually, as you know, Nick and I don't usually have a theme always for our books that we share, but this month we thought it appropriate because it had to do with actual reading and writing, and some unread things that many of us have not had a chance to get to yet. We figured it appropriate to bring this to you. Unread is brought to you by Mawalisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. I am your sister, Bro. That is Nick over there. We have some amazing people, so we just go and pop it off by just going ahead and sharing our books. Now, I would go first, but I always give the floor to Nick first. So, Nick, since you have the lady, I shall let you go first.
Yes, yes. So I'll introduce Tierra as I'm introducing her book. So we'll start with the book first, and then I'll tell you a little bit about Tierra, how I know Tierra, and she'll tell you the rest. So one of the offerings for today that I'll be sharing is Voices Within Range. That's by Tierra Holmes, the young lady you see on the screen right there. Now, we'll get into the book. What it's about, its connection to poetry as we progress through the show. But just to talk a little bit about Tierra, this is a dear friend of mine from, that I met at the, illustrious Howard University, when we were undergrad there. So we, just running around campus, soaking in the culture. Tierra used to participate in the art, in the art scene at Howard University as well. So I've attended, her dance shows before. She's a East Coast representative, hailing from Philly, just an hour and a half away, so both on the East Coast. So I mentioned dancing. So she's multi-talented in the arts, visual arts, as well as performing arts, a scholar, of course, as well. She has an undergrad from Howard University, from the College of Arts and Sciences, and then she continued her education and got that advanced degree from Boston University School of Public Health and institutions. Well, yeah, public health. I'm sorry, yeah, public health, and then of course, how can I not leave out the primary school training? She's also coming from the an alum of the Imhotep Institute Charter High School in Philly. Yeah, yeah. So we I'm proud to introduce everyone to the unread community, to Miss Tierra Holmes. Tierra, thank you for coming through and joining us to share.
Yeah, of course.
Yep, share your story and share your writing with us.
Of course, Nick. And thanks so much for the introduction. I appreciate it.
Of course, yes.
Yes. So Sister Tierra, I can't wait to see all it. I get so jealous sometimes when I hear that people have went to those illustrious colleges together with those rich cultures and able to build and form friendships like the one you two have, and many of the other even guests that we've talked about here or unread. Nick has some amazing friends, so those opportunities to go to those historically Black colleges is priceless. My story is a little bit different, and who I am bringing to you today is Brother Samuel Brain. Let me let you know, I know this man as Complicated Passions. So the book that I am bringing to you is Chronicles of Passion by Brother Samuel Rain Benjamin. So this book, and yes, I feel very entitled because this was one of the first presses, if I'm not mistaken, of this book in 2015. I have a signed autograph whole little piece that he said to me and just for me up in here. We were doing radio shows together back in the day, Blog Talk. And he would come on for the poetry nights and have all the ladies swooning. They be calling in back to back just to hear Brother Complicated Passions. So I am so excited to bring him to you. Now, not only is he old school, Barry White-ish, you know what I'm saying, got that thing going on. Brother Samuel Brain is also the 2024 Poet Laureate of Kern County, California, and the creator of the Passions Private Collection and the Dark Man Blues series. He's written over 40 books, including Love in the Conversation, The Clone in Me, the Foreplay Series, and he's also performed across the country from Los Angeles to New York. Notable places: First Fridays, the World Stage, Sugar Hill, the Norican Poets Cafe, the Apache Cafe, Bus Place Cafe, and we can just go on and on because the brother do what he do. His latest work, his latest work is from the Dark Man Blues collection, and he'll be talking to us about that. But this is my surprise guest for this week of UnRead, Brother Complicated Passions, Samuel Rain Benjamin. Brother, it's been so long. Do you realize how long we've known each other?
Because I didn't know what book you was going to show, and you showing that book, and I'm like, wow, no one could buy that book now. So that's a collector's item because you can't get that book anymore. And that book was that book was the final of the Passions Private Collection series. So that's why I titled it that. It was 4 books before that. And wow, I didn't know that that's a book here. And then I did all that writing in the book. Wow, that's amazing. I think
because we was friends back then before you was famous. I'm just saying, I have to be able to prove it. You know?
Well, you definitely got a collector's item right there because, like I said, no one. I was grabbing books and I'm like, I don't know what book she has, and then I couldn't remember. And here it is, the Chronicles of Passion. Wow.
Yes.
I'm gonna go see if I can find a copy of that. Maybe I can read if I know any poems in my head from that book.
Oh,
that was a while ago.
Before we get off of here, Most High Willing, I'm gonna remind you of my favorite because see, one year you read it for me when we were on the radio because I was like, you know what? All these women call in and ask you to read their favorite. I have never had you read my favorite for me, and you read it, and I was like,
"Oh, I'm gonna have to go get that book." I think I saw a copy of it in this other room. I'm gonna try to find it so that I get it off the screen because that's amazing. Because that book, wow, that was a long time ago.
2015. Well, you know what? Like Nick said when we first got started, that he was just giving a brief introduction to Sister Tierra. So, Sister Tierra, Brother Samuel, again, we thank you for being here with us on this Saturday. You could be anywhere. You chilling with the book nerds, Nick and Rue on UnRead. So, Sister Tierra, if you'd like to go ahead and open the floor, tell us more about you. Tell us more about some of the things that, Nick told us, maybe even your journey to writing or when you started. And we'd love to hear a little bit more about you.
Yeah, sure thing. I have no problem starting. So I think I'll start with the prompt, I guess, my journey to writing. And I feel like it always starts just for me being a little girl and honestly seeing my mom write poetry. She used to submit her poetry to like the weekly news, the daily news journal in like Delaware, in Wilmington, Delaware, where I grew up for a little bit. And so that's kind of like my earliest introduction into really knowing anything about writing or knowing anything about poetry. And I used to see her, you know, pick up the newspaper once a week and look through like the poetry column to see if she made it or if she was selected. And most of the time she always was. And so she would kind of like clip out her poems and add it into like a little photo album and everything. But I didn't really start writing or take a stab at writing until I was maybe 11 years old. And I just called myself writing this basic roses are red, violets are blue type of thing, I guess, to get my feet wet. But then from there, I realized that I didn't really call myself a poet, but I realized like how powerful writing can be and how much it helped me to just like explore things and express myself. And I love being able to like look at the finished product and say, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what this is, but I created that, you know? And I guess years later, I ended up majoring in English, creative writing at Howard. And eventually I kind of built up the confidence to just self-publish my own book of poetic narratives. And it's kind of leading me to now where I'm just sharing it more with people and just, you know, just enjoying the process of being a writer and being a part of like a writing community. So.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's interesting that you mentioned, you know, your mom as your one of your greatest influences to getting into writing poetry. Now, something that I'm curious about is, do you see any like specific similarities between your writing and your mother's writing, like maybe in terms of style or themes that you all have written about?
You know what? That's a really good question because I never really sat down to like compare our poetry, or even just writing in general because I write other things just outside of poetry. But I feel like my mom, like your parents will always say that you are them, but you take it to like another level, you know. So she always says that. But I think the commonality would be that my mom was really inspired by like her life experience, like life was her teacher and life was like her institution. And I feel like for me, even though I have all of these degrees, like I've also been through my own stuff. And I feel like with writing my book, I didn't want it to be so like academic-y or make it seem like I couldn't talk the way that I talk or, you know, talking broken English or just kind of break the rules. And so for me, I think the main thing is that like we're both unfiltered and we're both like inspired by real life situations. And I think we just find like a way to tell the story like through writing. So I think that's the main similarity, like relationships and stuff and just life.
Oh, I could rattle off like 5 questions that I have for you now, Sister Tierra, but I'm going to allow Brother Samuel the same opportunity to tell us his journey to writing. So, Brother Samuel, if you'd like to tell us kind of where your journey to writing started.
Well, it actually started in high school. And of course, my English teacher didn't like that at what I was writing at that time in 1975 because it wasn't Shakespeare and I'm not going to write Shakespeare. So let's move on. And then I kind of dropped it off, you know, at college. I didn't write. And then I did a whole bunch of other things and didn't pick up writing again until 2004. And then I had to say, okay, so what are you going to write about? And so I did research and I said, oh, if you write about love, every person wants to be in love. So they might like what you say, you know, and then everybody's not going to like what I say. So I chose to stick with the love thing and wrote for 2004 for practically 10 years before I put out my first book. And so I had to get better, you know, and then reading and researching and learning all the different rules that I wanted to break. So I broke them all and didn't write anything like my college professors or high school teachers would think that they thought that I should have been writing. So I'm like, okay, so let me go off on my own tantrum. and start writing love poems and introduce myself to Blog Talk. And Blog Talk got me worldwide famous in 2014 just because I was reading love poems. So it's been an exciting journey, and to have published 22 of my 40 books that I've written. So I have a what do you call it, a vault of poetry that no one has heard, but they're going to, and they have the opportunity to read it. And then some of the books that I have published, I have taken them down. You can't buy them anymore. Like, I found it. Let's see. Wait a minute. I can't get it to come in. Well, it's that book right there. I found it, and so and that's it. And that book is no longer available, but I think I recite poems from it. You know, we're gonna find out. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. We both have such great stories, and one of the reasons why this was so important to me to do this episode is I had a different kind of experience with writing. I love to write. When I was young, I loved to write. As a matter of fact, I like writing more than I like talking to people. But the things I would write about, they were real life things that were going on, but they were in an environment where the things I was writing about was a little too real. So it was suppressed. And so I was told, you can't write this, oh, that doesn't sound right, blah, blah, or whatever. So when I would try to write in the more kind of roses are red, violets are blue, just the kind of, everything sounded sing-songy to me, like I was about to turn into a rapper, you know what I mean? Like I was trying to rhyme every line, bars. So it was one of those things where, I was like, I don't want to write like that, but I'm not going to be received if I write like this. So I just kind of put my hands up and I went into what was better for me, which was actual storytelling. Because in storytelling, I get to use my whole body. I get to use, all the energy that comes to me from the memory even of some of the things that I'm talking about. So I just find it, I find it beautiful that you both said that one of the things you did was broke the rules. You was just like, oh, these are the rules. So what? You know what I'm saying? I'm intentionally going in to break these rules. So I thank you both for being so brave to go ahead and break those rules and be able to give us such awesome offerings. So thank you both for being rebels, rule breakers. I love a good rebel. So I'm here for it. Nick, what about you?
Oh yeah, I'm here for it too. And this is just going back to what you said about, why this conversation was so important to you, why it's so important and significant to me. Significant for a few reasons. I'm a literature teacher. I teach high school students, and we incorporate all types of texts and literature into the classroom, understanding that everything can be a text, regardless if it's written, if it's spoken, if it's visual, even if there aren't any words, it's still a text, because you're diving into it and you're extrapolating that meaning. So it's significant to me in that sense, and it's also significant in the sense that I'm a writer as well, and I've attempted to find opportunities to vary the type of writing that I do. I've been used to being a very technical writer, especially in my high school and college years. I did some storytelling in elementary. I won a writing contest in maybe fifth grade or something like that, because I wrote a narrative about a dancing dinosaur that danced to all the theme songs of the old school sitcoms. You know, there was some, and then, you know, and there were some other moments where, you know, the writing was mandatory, you know, where I had to do a mission statement for, you know, at a leadership conference that I was attending, and you know, it wasn't even the directions, but I just flipped it into a poem, you know, just intuitively. And you know, also writing, you know, haikus and other types of poetry that follows the rules, you know, in school. But I would say, you know, I went against the rules when I decided to start, you know, start writing rhymes and raps and things like that, you know, in middle school and high school, you know, going way, you know, way against the rules of any, you know, line count or you know, bar count or stanza count. So I love, but you know, just to tie it all up, you know, I love the artistic as well as the technical. You know, I'm a, you know, consumer and you know, analyst of of poetry, so I definitely appreciate you know, the poets, their expressions, and you know, conversations such as these.
Thank you. You're muted.
Yeah, you muted.
Oh, I was saying thank you, and thank you for investing in our future. You know, we have very few young people who sit down and, you know, journal, write, you know, tell stories or whatever that you know, most, you know, that are more in tune with the healing that needs to take place in our community. I think we're finally getting to a place where people can start to express themselves in ways where we realize that we really do have a lot of healing to do. And, you know, sharing these words with each other are ways to do that. So thank you for investing in our young people. I really appreciate that. You know, I'll go ahead and I'll give our next question that I had for each of our authors today. Is I would like to know the works that Nick and I are sharing. So I'm sharing this one, and Nick is sharing that one. We'd like to know what is it that inspired that particular book?
Samuel, you can go first if you want to.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to have to help me on this and show them the back of your book.
Okay.
Okay. See those books on there? Those are the 4 books before the Chronicles of Passion. My Recipe for Love, The Lyrical Expressions of Complicated Passions, The Hunger, and the Things That Lovers Do. Those were the first 4 books before I released the Chronicle. So that led me to this book here. So yes, The Chronicles of Passion. So, and that concluded the Passions Private Collection, because it would say that on all the books. So, and writing those 4 books was a combination of my writing from, oh yeah, you got that little card too? Yeah, it's amazing. I remember those. That's so long ago. And to have written that book, and I wrote that book in 2015. It was what, and a card, more than I can remember. There we go. Yep, I remember all those things. That was great. And so it was a great time writing about love. And then after I finished writing the Chronicles, I moved to a whole nother level because, you know, I had some of my friends tell me, well, you talk a good conversation. Can you write about it too? So that's when I created Darkman Blues. But before I did Darkman Blues, I did a book called Imagining Freedom, which I gave away to all the people who bought the Foreplay series. So that book is not available on Amazon. It was a book I gave away for free. And so, and I'm probably going to do that again later in the upcoming years, write a book and just give it away for free. I'll buy the copies and just give them away. So I think that's a good thing to promote yourself. I did that, and it helped me out when I created the Dark Man Blues series, which, wait a minute, let me do something with my background so you can actually see the book cover. That's not the right one. Okay, here we go. Video settings. No, that's not the right one either. Well, I'm trying to get through this Zoom here. Let's see.
Nick, can you make it where he can show the back of his book?
No,
oh, but you know what? There you go.
Okay, so this is Dark Man Blues. This is the first book, If It Were Me. So that started the Dark Man Blues series. I've published 4 of them so far, and I've written 4 more. So they're sitting in the archives waiting to be released for the Dark Man Blues series. And it has conscious pieces. So it speaks of our history. I tell the story of our present, and I think I try to predict the future as well in my writings, when especially from the Dark Man Blues series. So, and I'm excited to see what poems she liked in this book. So, because I have no idea, because it was a book of over 220 some odd pages. So I don't know what she likes.
Thank you, Sister Tierra.
Oh yeah, so I'll say with Voices Within Range, what I'll say is, so I think, like Nick mentioned earlier, as far as me having so many different interests. So I've been doing like some West African dance since I was in high school, and I was, performing with a couple of different companies. Also recently just kind of got into some DIY projects, just making, Eagles inspired wine glasses and coffee mugs and things like that. But with this book, Voices Within Range, it's a collection of poetry that, to be honest, some of the poems were written like way back in 2015, but I never actually put them out there. Maybe I performed them in some type of poetry class, or maybe I did a storytelling event where I kind of presented them that way. But when I came across, I think I was just inspired at this time to kind of get behind myself and give myself an opportunity to just be vulnerable and to just be, like my own cheerleader. And I knew that I really knew how to write. And I also knew that what I had to say was important, but I never gave myself like that platform or like that vehicle to share it in the form of a book. I was always like scared a little bit, or I was always like a perfectionist, always wanted every, single T to be crossed and I to be dotted. And it got to a point where I said, well, Tierra, if you don't give yourself a chance now, then when are you going to give yourself that chance? So with this book, I cover so many different topics because that's like what life is about. Like when I said I was inspired by life is about mental health, it's about family, it's about, sisterhood, it's about love. Like so many different things that we go through inspired me to reflect on them and to put them down on paper. And so this book is just like me being able to say that, okay, I have one voice, but there are so many narratives that I have to tell. There's so many voices that I've come in contact with, so many different people that I've come in contact with. And I just wanted to kind of just put it out there, and so that's what like Voices Within Range is all about.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Nikki, no. You know what? While we still got Sister Tierra, I just want to, I thank you for that. And, I have not read your book. It is an unread for me, so I look forward to it. I told Nick that I look forward to reading it because he did share the table of contents with me, and I thought it was very interesting that you covered so many topics. So my question to you is kind of like what was asked to Brother Samuel. What made you put it in poetry and prose? Why not a book? Or is that something that will be coming in the future, a book for every kind of topic?
So I do have a couple of book ideas in mind where I do want to kind of zone in on a particular theme. But I feel like with this one, because this is my very first self-published book. So it's not to say that it's the end of anything. Like I'm not at 40 like Sam, Samuel really, like, he doing his thing, right? So for me, like this was like me kind of breaking the ice a bit, right? And then also not limiting myself to just like, not that if you focus on a theme, there's a limitation there, but I just had so much in my mind and so much in my heart and so much kind of packed away and stored away. I just wanted to kind of give all of it a space to breathe, if that like makes sense, So in the future, I do have some other book ideas. It might not be necessarily a poetry book. Something that I have in mind is more of like lessons learned to an extent and kind of leaning into like the affirmations theme within my book. But time will tell. I think this one was just really about me, I guess, giving myself permission to like, be imperfect and, just kind of put myself out there. So
I love it. I love it. And you know what? I can't even imagine it, being imperfect. I think we are so hard on ourselves because we're trying to fit some criteria. But, I guess as the rebel in me always asks the question, who said it and who said that who died and left them in charge, like my mama said. So, I always wonder, like, they set these rules and everything, but then we get beautiful things like what you and Brother Samuel did, and you broke all the rules. So, Nick, if you'd love to post a question to our beautiful guests, I'm sure they would be ready for another.
Yeah. Before we go on to the next question, Rue, you shared yours. I forgot to share mine. Like, come on, mine is signed too. Mine got a nice little, got a nice little message in mine too.
For those who don't know, Nick and I have a secret like little battle going on because we both collect books from the authors. So, Nick, don't let him fool you. I might have been at it longer, but I don't know. This kid gets out everywhere, and then he know half the writers. So what am I going to do?
And you see the library book. You see he got a library book behind him, a bookshelf behind him. So,
oh, trust me. You know what? We keep the actual book count battle. We don't tell everybody that one. But I see you, Nick. I see you. That. But guess what? Didn't he tell you mine is a collector's item? We should put it out there for like, I don't know, 1.5. You know what I'm saying? Give me a little bit of cash. But go ahead, Nick. Bring your next question, my brother.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, I'll be interested too of what Brother Samuel, what your favorite poem from him will be. I read Tierra's book a couple of years ago, and I didn't go back and mark my favorite ones. So I don't remember. Like, I'm not sure how I would answer that question. But I will say, and it's funny that Tierra mentioned the book idea on the affirmations. That's one of the themes that kind of popped out to me when I was reviewing it, because I was doing some affirmations activities with my students a few weeks ago, so that's been a common theme that's been coming up. But I as far as questions, I kind of want to get into some of these poems. I mean, I don't know if you had any other questions, Rue, but that, I want to get into these poems next.
We all know when I put the glasses on, we are in straight nerd mode. It is time. So first of all, let me just say, right, Brother Samuel, now that we all know that I have a collector's item, right? First, let me say, not only do I have a collector's item of the book, I have 5 of these, 5 of the cards, right? 5, and I have 4 of the business cards, right? So I'm just saying we can start the bidding wherever you want. They can't have my book. I'm sorry. but I might be willing to part with one of those postcards or one of those other little cards. So I am going to get to my favorite in here. And you read, like I said, you read this for me, and I still got the card there. And I even kept the page. This is the only time I turned down a page in a book, in like a poetry book. I don't usually do that. I usually just have like 9,000 bookmarks. Me and Nick are known for our colorful stickers, right? But my favorite is Into the Arms of Destiny.
Wow.
That is my favorite.
Because this book doesn't have page numbers, because I said that my book was going to be a page turner. So
mine has numbers. See, let me find out. I finally done hit the jackpot in collecting books, Lord. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, God.
You really got lucky because my book doesn't have page numbers in it.
Mine does.
Wow.
Page 136 and 137.
Okay, so that lets me know where I have to go, because I didn't know where to go to look for this poem since I don't have a page number.
It is after The Tale of Two Lovers, Chosen, The Tale of Two Lovers.
Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Now, I know I haven't, well, it's a wait a minute, is it a 2-page poem?
It is.
Oh, in fact, the poem that you picked, I wrote that with another artist. So if I'd have known that, then, because this piece right here, I call it my Marvin Gaye, Tammy Terrell moment. It's a collab, but it's a collab that's intermingled. She has lines, I have lines, and we go back and forth until the end of the poem. And that's that piece. So, that would have been nice if I'd known that was your poem. I could have asked her to come on, and she would have loved it.
I know. So now this means we just gonna have to have you back. My other favorite was If Love Was a Foreigner.
Oh, I just saw that. I actually really loved that piece. In fact, I had it bookmarked too. Okay.
See, look at that. I even picked the author's favorite. Now I deserve those 3 million. 3 million. I'm starting at 3 million. I'm starting at 3 million, y'all.
Wow. Okay. So in creating this whole project was amazing. And I was like, I wanted to top everything that I had done before. And I've written some things that it was like, wow, I'm never gonna be able to top that poem. It's just no way. You know, when you blow a line like, if I were making love, you would be the only recipe I need. I'm like, you're not gonna top that anytime soon. So, but If Love Was a Foreigner. In fact, I'm going into the studio, so I may go back and look at this and put it on the audio project as well. Sometimes love seems to be misplaced. Just a thought, to think, are we speaking the same language? When one says, I love you, what is the true meaning of that emotion? Love has many definitions. Some are foreigners to its concept. Do you hear me? Wait, let's get to a real understanding. If it's not beautiful, then it can't be love. Now, do you feel me? But wait, let me tell you, it goes a little like this. If I were making love, you would be the only recipe I need. And that's that poem.
That part, I'm telling you, the ladies would go crazy online, like on Blog Talk. We have to go find some of those old Blog Talks, because you just became such a name. Like, people just, complicated passions became like a thing. And the Dark Man Blues, that just blew it up. That made everybody crazy. He was like, what do you mean? That's a perfect name. You know what I mean? And then he would go on stage and he would be so buttery and slippery. You just be like, yo, listen. You know what I mean? I remember I'm not gonna call the sister her name, but it was one sister who was on the radio show with us often, and she was like, yo, that old man be talking.
That's what I almost laughed when she said 40. I thought she was talking about my age. No, I am 67. I wish I was 40. So I have so much I want to write that I'm not going to run out of time because I'm writing constantly. It's like I have new projects that I'm working on now. My latest book is called Love Is, co-authored by Josh Smalls. He was on here for a minute, but he's gone. And he's out of Charlotte. I'm going to be in Charlotte in April performing at the Charlotte Poetry Fest.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we'll give you an opportunity to tell us all the things you have coming up, how people can contact you, how they can buy your books, except for that one. They can contact me for that. You know what I mean? But brother, you know what? Thank you so much for reading one of my favorites. And you know what? Maybe we can get the sister to come on with you and do that other one, because I would love to see it. Or it's just to hear you record that one would be nice. I have listened to some of your recordings, so I know that they are just as beautiful as your live shows and reading your book. So thank you so much. Nick, do you have something you would like the sister to read for us?
I actually want to know, Tierra, I actually want to know what are some of your favorites out of here? Because I love everything that's in here, so I'm very curious to know which pieces are your favorites, and or which ones stand out or resonate with you the most.
So the one I have, like, sing your song. That's the one that really stands out for me. I have Imperfection is Queen. Just kind of exploring the whole idea of you don't have to be perfect to be a queen, or you don't have to be perfect to be, just to be someone who's worthy of, like, respect and decency, and to feel like you're enough. I honestly have a lot of them in here that are my favorite, but I guess I'm curious, like, what kind of energy, what kind of vibe, or should I just pick one?
Go for it. Yeah, I'm curious to see what you're gonna pick.
So I'm gonna just do Imperfection is Queen. I'll just do that one. Okay. So, and I'm just reading this, so I'm looking down. But okay. Imperfection is queen. She walks high and mighty, even in busted shoes. Does ballet in rainbow boots beneath a scorching sun. She leaps across puddles of muddy water in silver stilettos that promise her sanctuary and sophistication. She lands on land with her palms face down, finding the rugged earth too stubborn to bend or break. She puts makeup on a calloused face, hoping to disguise the ugliness that wears her face like a crown. She tries with all her might to soften the arrival of her, the one they call imperfection, the one they call queen, the one who screams when her lashes fall or her pre-plucked wig slides down her back and into the seat that reeks of insecurities. Imperfection is the shy bitch who sings like a supreme in exchange for applause and encouragement of her dreams. She's someone unbecoming and meek, someone you ignore because she's important to see but not necessary to meet. And she knows this, but to be accepted is still her wish. So she dances in public to a tune she's never heard, performing as confidence in a space where confidence would never be, pretending the next step in the routine is the one she completes, ignoring the hundreds of eyes that agree her feet are moving off beat. They're mimicking perfection when perfection never asks to be seen. The community loved her more when she danced in the rain with her hair untamed and the brightest smile stretched across her face. She was original back in those days, the spitting image of herself. And the people she wanted to please were already pleased with her. She didn't have to beg for their attention because they knew her name was already Imperfection. And that's the poem. Sorry, y'all, I was rushing a little bit. I can do it better another time. I was rushing.
Nah, you are. No,
I
you
don't
are
have
good.
no complaints.
Me either.
None. None. I
Yeah.
am so glad you chose that one. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And the imagery is like,
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that image.
the imagery, right? It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
imagery is just amazing. You know, wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And you know what because when I first started learning, like, I guess in general, just like, I guess how to write poetry and stuff and being in high school, I feel like, because I'm a visual learner too. And I feel like when I started learning about imagery, that was like one of my main strengths in poetry, because I didn't always consider myself to be like a poet. I always felt like, well, I don't always want to do slam poetry. I don't always want to do like be so vulnerable. But with Imperfection is Queen, that was one of like the newest poems that I wrote when I was self-publishing the book. And for me, I was just trying to tell myself, like, nobody asked you to be perfect. You know, people like you when, well, not just people like you, but in general, people like you when you are just like real, you know, when you have those flaws, when you don't look so like prom and clean and just everything's perfect, you know, like you can really be yourself. Um, and also you don't have to try and fake confidence. Like, I know the whole thing about like fake it until you make it, but sometimes you might be questioning yourself, or sometimes you might, you know, just need to show up and be vulnerable. Like, it's okay to like come as you are, you know? So that's kind of how I started thinking about like an imperfect queen, like walking around and trying to front when she can just be herself, you know? So
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. In this world of make believe, you know, that piece is you know more relevant than ever right now. Mhm.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. You know, sis, what you said actually kind of segues into the next questions that, you know, we kind of had, you know, pre-planned for this talk. Both you and Brother Samuel have self-published. And you know, you've done a lot of your own work. And so I'd kind of like to know a little bit about your choice, your decision to do that, and kind of what that journey has been like in terms of what you feel is your success or stagnation in really getting your work out there.
Okay, so my first, I believe, 10 books were self-published. And then when I got to this one book, which is called Love in the Conversation, I actually sent it to a major publisher. And what they told me was that, oh, we love your work, but it's not what we're looking for right now. And so I researched to see what they were looking for. And I said, well, I'm not writing that. So that's not going to happen. So I started my own publishing company. It is called Innate Divinity Books. And we're looking to publish people. And we're not going to tell you that's not what we're looking for. We're looking to help you create yourself as an artist, because a lot of artists, most of the people on here, I would say 90% of the people that are published are self-published because they can't get a major, because you don't have name recognition. And so that's important. And even though people know me from New York to Los Angeles, it's still not enough name recognition, because I need thousands and thousands of people buying my books, not just a mere hundreds, you know. So, and I will continue to keep writing because it is my legacy. It's something that I believe in. And I discovered myself when, like you said on Blog Talk, I didn't know my voice sounded the way it did. And I thought I sounded whack. A gentleman sent me a recording studio that I recorded myself, and I said, "Damn, I sound good. This is about to be amazing." And I took it on from there. Once I heard my voice recorded, it was a whole different animal. You know, I'm like, okay, I'm in beast mode now. So self-publishing, that's where I started, and then I now have a publishing company, and I bought enough ISBN numbers to publish a lot of people. So that's my mission. So I offer that. I say, send in your project. The team will look at it. If they like it, they work with you, or we will give you all the options that you need, especially editing, formatting, creative cover design, and all those things. And if you decide not to go with us, but you still need the work done, because I recommend to everyone that they get their book edited by a professional, a real professional. And it's hard to trust people because some people, they'll look at your poetry and want to change it. I don't want to change it. I want you to give me your best, and I'm going to show you how to get there, because it's a formula to finding out your true self, because you can't let other people tell you, like learning people will tell you, that's not going to work. But it does. I have my own style. It's beautiful. It has only gotten better. So I'm not locked into a routine of writing sonnets and things like that. I'm everywhere. So and I create these beautiful imageries that I do, and people, they love my art like that.
Should I jump right in?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So for me, I did self-publish Voices Within Range, and I think my decision behind that, because initially, I guess this is a quick shout out, but there's a Howard alumna who started her own publishing company as well, and it's called Sakaya's Corner. And so initially I was consulting with her, and I really did want to go through her process and her organization, because she really does like really good work and has like a team around her and everything. But at the time, I felt like I was still looking for like external validation for somebody to be like, yeah, this is good enough. Yeah, this is done. And so my very first book, I felt like it was necessary for me to like, I had to validate myself. If it wasn't, perfect, it wasn't going to be perfect. If it, if things didn't look right, it didn't look right. But, I designed the cover, I wrote the book, I had other people reading different chapters at different points, but I really had to like put it out there myself so I can say like, okay, this is all me, right? But in the future, I would love to collaborate more and to tap into other people's skills, so I don't have to feel like I need to be like a one-woman show and just, marketing and book cover design and editing. Like that's just too much, to be quite honest. And I'm not like really committed to being just like a writer alone, like I still like do other things too. So for me in the future, with like future books and future projects, I want to really have a team, really, I guess pay people for like the skills that they have. And I just want to show up, write, and get it out there and then move on to the next project. But in the beginning, it was really necessary for me to self-publish so I can feel more like empowered and know I didn't need anybody's like, stamp at that time. So
That is amazing. That's awesome. Nick, did you have a question? Because if not, I had a follow-up question.
Yeah, well, my question kind of goes back to, the craft and the writing and the style. Like I had questions about like, topics and going back to what we were saying about the imagery. So I had questions along those lines.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So well, one of my questions is as far as poetic devices and techniques. What are for both of you, what are some of your favorite type of techniques that you like to employ in your writing? And also what are some that you would like to do more of?
Well, I am. I have my own style, but it's a free verse because that's the way I write. But intentionally, it's like when I create my first line. But before I even create my first line, I write down the title of the poem. That's going to lead me to what I actually want to say. And then I write my first line, which leads me to my second line and third. So I tell people that I teach, your first four lines is going to make them interested in reading your poem. Then you have your body, and then you have your ending. So your ending should always be powerful. Your beginning should be luring, so that when they read that first line, they're going to want to read the rest of the poem. I only write one-page poems per se. I don't write long poems. If I could, I could tell you something in 20 seconds that will just be, you'd be like, oh, I need more of that, you know. But that's all. That piece is just that long. It's just 20 seconds. It may only have 20 words, but it's beautiful and it gives you thought. I want people thinking. So that's important when you're writing. You want the reader to think. You don't want to tell them everything. You want them to use their imagination, and they can fill in what's between those lines, and then they get to feel more emotional within the piece.
Yeah, I feel like with Samuel, I would agree too, because for me, I think I am more so led by emotion when it comes down to like storytelling, just really trying to capture I guess like the event, the vision, because I tend to kind of like see a lot of things in my mind and stuff, and then I just try and like pull it out and like put it on paper and stuff. So and I would say like imagery has always been a poetic device that, like I said from earlier, is something I realized that I'm good at and something that I really do like to do. With my poems, it's like a mix of free verse and also I like structure sometimes, so I kind of looked online for different styles of poems and kind of challenged myself to kind of write within, try to write within like that structure, like those rules. And I think one I can point out is like in the affirmations chapter. Now I forgot what this is called, but there's a type of poem where you kind of formulate the lines, so it looks like it's on page 9, Nick, if you can show it. Um, I forgot the name of the poem, but I mean the type of poem it is, but it's a poem where you make the lines look like a letter. And so for this, I made it look like an I because I was doing like I affirmation statements. And so I used that to try and structure like my thoughts and structure the story. So the narrative is still the same, but it's like, how do I package? It's like, how do I shape it? And so there are like a few different specific like poem types throughout the book. But for the most part, I don't even really consider myself, I won't call myself a poet, to be quite honest. I'm really like a creative writer and a storyteller. And whatever story is kind of like in me or that I feel like I need to get out, I just try to figure out the best way to do it. And sometimes I'll write it down, come back, look at it, and I see something else on the page or something else is speaking to me. So I have to kind of like incorporate that. But it's like an ongoing process. And I feel like for me, and Sam, you might feel the same, but sometimes I just know, I feel like the poem will tell me like, I'm done, you know, like
Yes,
it's,
indeed.
you know, like stop or like we done right now. And then I'll just leave it alone, you know, but it's like an ongoing process. So
Yeah, well, the more you write, you're going to start editing the poem as you're writing it because you're going to
yeah,
feel
for
the process,
sure.
and it's just going to flow like that. I know that my first 5 books, every poem was centered on the page, and because
Yeah,
that's what they told me. I'm like, I don't like it, so I'm going to change, and I'm going to do something else. So I have no more books that the poems are centered on the page. They're all over the page because now
yeah,
I'm painting with these words on the
yeah,
page itself. So, and when someone gets a new book from me, they're going to see different type of formatting, uh,
yeah.
different structure. I did a poem. Um, the poem is called Again, and I said, no, that's not right. It was Dark Girl Magic. That's the poem.
Oh,
Because everybody was doing Black Girl Magic. I said, I ain't black. Well, let me fix that. Because none of us are black on here. We're different shades of melanin. So I said,
mhm,
she's going to be Dark Girl Magic this time, and she's not going to be black.
mhm,
So when I
mhm.
spit that piece for the first time, they were like, they were blown away. They didn't know how to receive that. Yeah, because I
Yeah,
said, no, I'm not.
yeah.
So, but as you continue to write, that's your first book?
Yeah, but I've been writing for a long time. I just put I put what I wrote in a book. Yeah, but it is my
Okay.
first book. Yeah.
That's what I did. So now you're going to be writing new stuff, and it's just going to come to
Yeah.
you. You're going to be flowing, and it's going to be like magic. You know, you
Yeah.
put something on paper, you're painting, and
Yeah.
so when people read your work, they can visualize what you're saying.
Yeah. And Sam, I'm curious for you too, because I feel like for me, when I get into like character work, like with my like poetic narratives and stuff, like there are like different characters in there. And sometimes it's not really always based on me. It's like based on things that I like imagine or things that I've seen or something. But I feel like I also have to like give up my power when I become a writer too, and I'm writing characters or trying to tell the story, because I don't know, I feel like you got to submit to whatever the character is kind of charging you to tell. Like, I don't know if you experienced that too, but
I would tell you that I have a whole bunch of characters in my book.
yeah.
Darkman Blues is a character, and they said, "Who is Darkman Blues?" I said, "He's John Bow." And they said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, there's Batman is Bruce Wayne and Superman is Clark Kent, so Darkman Blues is John Bow." And that's how I wrote the book, Darkman Blues, John Bow. That's the subtitle, is John Bow. So who is John Bow? So I created the character. My son's a screenwriter, so he's writing the screenplay for John Bow.
Yeah.
And so that's coming out. That's going to be coming out. So, and I've created other characters, like Complicated Passions was my stage name. And I created it in 2007. I didn't use it until 2010, so no one knew. So when I went to an open mic and I wrote Complicated Passions, they're like, "Who is that?" So hey, that's me. And then why? Because love is complicated. But it's the two. So that's how I put the two together, and became Complicated Passions. So no, create your characters, because I have Mr. Temptation and Dr. Fantastic. Those are characters that I have written, but those books are not out yet. So they're going to get a chance to read those, when those books come out. They'll see who Mr. Temptation is, Yeah.
Oh man, I'm sitting here I'm so honored to have known you as long as I have. It's one of those things where you watch somebody say they want to do something and then you see them do it. It is like 40 books later. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here we are, and it's just, what you said about your son being a screenwriter is right in the vein of what I was gonna ask next. I was gonna ask, do either one of you see any of your works on the big screen? I am one of those people who, like, when I read, I see these amazing images, and so I'm always waiting for a book to become a film, So do you either see any of your works at some point, either becoming short films or either full feature premieres?
Yeah, I actually wrote a poem, and the poem is called Again. And I wrote it in 2015. I didn't perform it until 2017 because I didn't think, I'm telling myself, it's not really that good. It's not a good poem. So, but then one day I go to the open mic and I say, "She was a love poem," and didn't know it. That got me into a movie. I'm like, "Oh, now I'm good now," So just that line right there got me into a movie. So I'm excited about that, So I'm waiting for them to finish shooting the movie, and that's the first thing people are going to see when they go to the movies. After it rolls down, and you're going to see me standing there saying "She was a love poem" and didn't know it.
Wow! Congratulations, Sister Tierra. Tell us, what do we have to look forward to on the big screen, on the little screen?
Yeah, so what I'll say is I'm not actively working on this, but for me, I see like Voices Within Range, like I see this book more so as like a theater production. I also like to act too sometimes, like I was in a couple of things, but small classroom-based things. But yeah, no, for this book, I really see this in like a theater space, just as like a collection more so of like monologues and just having like different props and music and visual and things. So that's how I see this book, and that's how it really speaks to me. And I would love to do that at some point. I just have to like be committed, put the time in, find people to help me out, and just kind of go from there. I've never said this really publicly, but I will say, as far as like a big screen feature thing, I do see my personal life as being something that can be on like a big screen. My story is like really kind of complicated and complex, and I have a lot of different things that I've never really quite shared with people, and even different people in my life just kind of all integrated into that. But that's something where I feel like I would start off with some type of like autobiography or something, and really need like a co-author to help me kind of get those things out. before that, but I think my personal life could, but Voices Within Range is more so like theater based. Yep.
Is that book on Amazon?
It's on Amazon, and I also created the audio. It's a free audio book that I made too on my YouTube page called Tierra's World. I think Nick has the link, so he might send it out at some point, but you can kind of like listen to each poem online and kind of read along with it. But yep, it's on Amazon.
Okay, because I'm going to buy it today. So I'm on
Oh.
Amazon. I'm on Amazon looking for it right now. So that
Yes.
so it is titled Voices Without Names or Within Names or what is
Within
it?
range.
Yeah, Voices Within Range. We may
Within
have to send
Range.
you.
Okay, so I think that's what I typed in. Yeah, right. Okay, so then I got to find that. Yeah, so I see what the cover looks like. So I'm definitely going to purchase that today, and then I can give you a certified review because that's what I like to buy books so that
Yeah,
you can. And I tell people, like people say, "Oh, you don't have any books to sell." I'm like, "It's on Amazon." You know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, buy the
You
book
know,
from Amazon. I'm like,
I
the
would,
extra
I
money
would
you think I'm going to make, I'm not going to if you don't buy the book from Amazon. I want to be an Amazon bestseller one day. You know,
yeah.
so.
For sure, yeah, and I would love to like grab one of your books and like learn from your process and stuff. I know I can't buy like the certified one that Rue has that's not available no more, but
No, it's
yeah,
not.
no, I would like to read one and just like learn from what you've done. So
Okay,
I love this. I love this. And I love the fact that right here in front of our eyes, they offer to help each other. You understand what I'm saying? This is what I'm talking about. Like, just, us helping us. Like, listen, I see you, I want you to be able to tell your story. This is just beautiful. I love it. And let me just say, Tierra, when Nick and I talked about your book some time back, before we were even doing the UnRead series. I forget what prompted us to start talking about it, but I think when we were both leaning more into those affirmation kind of things, you had told me about, your alum sister who had written a book, and you had read the table of contents to me. And I was thinking to myself, this would be great on stage. Like, it could be like a little, and I'm thinking, like, I'm seeing it in my head, and I'm thinking about when I went to where was it? Was it Symphony Hall? It might have been Symphony Hall, or it might have been Princeton, but either way, they had these ladies there telling these stories, and and they had them playing the drums, and there was some dancing, and I mean, they had like the colorful flowers in the, and I was just sitting there like so moved, you know what I mean? Because it was like they were telling these heartfelt stories in this way where even if it never happened to you, you could resonate with it, and it was like kind of hitting your bones, so you feel your eyes watering up and your throat getting a little tight, you know what I mean? And it's like, why is this touching me this way? And I really think that with moving everything to the big screen and streaming and all this stuff, we get away from that energy that happens when we are in the same room. And let me just say, Brother Samuel, if you've never seen him live or hear him like the brother he'll make your bones ting, you know what I mean? It's a thing, you know what I mean? And it's like, I could so see, beautiful dresses and flowing fabric, and these words that you shared from deep places inside you just be given to our audience, you know what I'm saying? And for them to walk away and have to talk about it, because that's one thing about theater will make you talk. So you know what, if it's any way I can assist in that way, talk to me, because we know some folks. Nerds hang with nerds. So we all kind of know each other. You know what I'm saying? So if there's anything that I can do to kind of help that dream manifest, I would be more than honored to help you. And Brother Complicated, you already know. You already know. I got a collector's jar. If I get that $3 million, you know you get some of that. You know you get some of that.
Yeah. So, and I love the whole concept of when I take these books down. That book had been up for a while, and so it wasn't moving, it wasn't selling. So let me take it off, and no one can get a copy of it. And that when I go to Amazon and it says unavailable, that's what I wanted to see. So I have new books, the new me, the new writing, the new style, because you're going to grow in what you're doing. So you're not going to stay in the same place. That was one of my reasons for not writing in form, because form keeps you in the same place.
Okay.
I challenge myself every year to get better. What can I say that's going to make it better? The next poem I write. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could top that one. But tomorrow's a new day, and I'm going to, because that's my mission. So I write about a lot of different things. But I like writing about love because, like I said, love sells, because every woman wants to hear beautiful. They want to read beautiful. And I even had written a poem where I needed guys to buy my books. So I wrote a poem specifically speaking to that issue, that you need to read, you need to buy this book so that you can read to her. Because if you don't, then you're going to miss out. You know, so, yep. So it's like this book here is co-authored by Josh Smalls. It's called Love Is. This is my latest book, came out in January. This book here is Love in the Conversation. This is a book that he read that made him want to write with me. So he reached out to me and says, I would love to write a book with you. And he's a dope writer. But he said he wanted to get to the point to where he could write a one-page poem and have it be beautiful, just have it flow like that. So we created that. And we've already started writing book 2 of Love.
All right.
And so it's going to be amazing. And of course, I have other projects that I'm working on at the same time. And I'm working with a bunch of artists, even from the different countries that I work with. I edit their books and format their books. And so I'm like super busy. Now I'm poet laureate. I was like, oh, there's not enough time on this clock for me today. You know.
And Sammy, where are you based again? I'm sorry, I think I missed it.
I'm in Bakersfield, California.
Oh, okay.
And so since being a poet laureate has exposed me, because I would tell people I'm from Los Angeles because that's the big market, you know, but I'm actually from Bakersfield, California, just north of LA. If I want to do poetry in the city, I'll go. And if not, then it's because I'm going someplace else. I love traveling. Let's say I've got Blog Talk helped me get my name out there. That got me my first feature at the Norican Poets Cafe in 2014 because I was on Blog Talk. And so the people was all over the country hearing me. And that's what they asked me. They said, why are you here? I says, I need my name to get out there. They said, keep spitting like that. It's going to get out there. And that's what happened. And Complicated Passions is like, it's legendary. I mean, I got friends trying to tell me I'm a legend. I'm like, no, I'm still alive. You know, so that kind of thing. So no, it's good. But to be honored by your peers and to become poet laureate, where a bunch of learned poets didn't get it this time, they gave it to a poet who just writes from the heart, and I'll give it to you. And it's beautiful, no matter what it is. It could be conscious. I write about life. I write about real life moments. I ain't making up nothing. You can research. I tell people, you can research that if you want to. You'll find out it was true. I said it, but somebody said it before me. But I just put it, you know, in a poem, that kind of thing.
You know, brother, you talked about some of the things that some of the people you're working with, some of the other authors. Sister Tierra, I was going to ask, do you do any workshops or one-on-one sessions with people to help them with their writing? Is that something that you've done, or maybe in your community?
So I have done, I want to say a few years ago, I was like a spoken word instructor and did like an 8-week introduction to poetry type of event with some young people. And when I was in Boston, Massachusetts, the one thing that I am proud of is that So I want to say last year I was contacted by like a family friend, someone who has been known to be like that family poet or like that person who's always just has something like inspiring to say to people. But he never had like his own book. And so I actually kind of helped him and walked him through my same process of becoming a self-published author and helped him self-publish his book. So for me, I think that's what really inspires me the most, is trying to get people who don't have like that confidence in their writing, or not, that's not necessarily, because I feel like in our culture and our tradition, like we all know how to tell stories like verbally, like we all speak, we all have like those griots in our family, like those who don't have that official title. So we always have someone who's that storyteller. But when it comes down to like writing and actually, you know, feeling like, you know, you have something that's worthy of being called like a book, I think that's a different type of process, you know. So that's what I really enjoy doing, is just helping people kind of crack those moments of self-doubt where they feel like, okay, I might not be good enough to be an author, and I can get them to like that place where they can kind of just put themselves out there. So I've done that. I haven't done any workshops as of yet. I am doing another similar like podcast with a local college here in Philly. I want to say April 22nd, but right now it's kind of like a slower pace that I'm taking with like my writing, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, but you just keep your mind open to these opportunities.
Oh yeah, now I do workshops.
Keep your mind open in
And
case,
that's the thing.
somebody call you and tell you they need you.
So and that's the thing. So like I have someone who I call like my spiritual mother. Like I've known her since I was like 13, 14 years old, and she's like a second mom to me. And she just said to me recently, she's like, "Hey, you really need to pay more attention like to your art and pay more attention to your writing." But then I'm also the person where I'm like, I gotta pay my bills, you know, I gotta do X, Y, and Z. And so it's like I have that structured brain, but then I'm also like that creative person, and I'm trying to find it in the middle to where I can like do things but not feel like you know, I gotta miss meals or something like that to do it. So, but I hear you. I hear you.
Nobody wants to be the starving artist. This is what I say. You know, nobody wants to be the classical starving artist, but you know, you seem like you both have really great things going on, in the fact that you are both so dedicated to not only, you know, working for yourselves, but reaching back, reaching out, you know what I'm saying, to others, and helping them, you know, recognize and even, you know, accomplish some of the things that they have, you know, inside of them. Because I agree, most of us have a book, at least one in us.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember I actually had an instructor that told us that everybody has one book, and like you said, it's your own. You know what I mean? And it's just amazing what we're doing here today. I'm gonna you know, and it actually has me to bring something. We had surprise guests, and you know, Nick and I usually do a surprise me kind of book, but I wanted to take a moment, if we will, and give another one of the reasons why I love this show, and I love talking about unread books. So both of you have done an amazing work, and you know, you got to see it published, you got to get it out to the world, and you know, you actually even know people are reading it. I had a cousin who needed a double lung transplant, and he lived in Philadelphia, and he had served in service, done all these things, ended up, you know, ill and in need of a double lung transplant. And he kind of always had this, you know, running joke that he wanted to write at least one thing and have it published before he passed away. So I was fortunate enough to be there with him when he got into this book here. And this is why some of the work that I do in helping people collab is for this very reason. Okay. This is back in the day, and it made me smile, Tierra, when you were talking about your mom and how she went into those contests, because that's what my cousin did too. And I even still have the slip from the day that they brought the book to him, because they rushed it to him because he was on his way to get ready to go have his surgery, and his surgery did not go well. And so what they did in dedication to him was put it on the very first page. And he got to sign it for me before he transitioned. So this was July 18th, 2009. Excuse me. Love flower. Beauty is more than a state of being. A flower which blooms in the warmth of the early morning sun. In the midst of misty clouds. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. A flower which blooms in the warmth of early morning sun and in the midst of misty mountain meadow. Beauty is not seasonal, but eternal. Your beauty, unlike that flower, cannot be hidden beneath the mask of heavy humid haze, nor does it grow dim because just become disenchanting or wither as summer breathes its last and the cold north wind freezes the earth. Beauty is a state of mind as well. Oh, you are beauty in more than face, a being of definitive elegance, fashion, and grace. If true beauty is in the eye of the onlooker, then for all time shall I look upon you as my eternal flower, full bloom in the meadows of my love. Kenneth Anthony Forward. Thank you for letting me share that.
Yeah, of course.
You know, we just celebrated Women's History Month. We just celebrated Black History Month. Now we're celebrating Poetry History Month. There are so many people that will never be remembered who walked this space. And I always found that some type of creative outlet at least helps you leave some kind of legacy for somebody to remember. And, you know, I'll take a page from my big cousin and just say that even if you just get one poem in a book of poems, you leave something.
Yep.
You leave something to let people know I was here and I had something to say.
Yep. And that's what they say. They always say, when you write, like, well, writers are like immortal, or when you write something and it gives you a way of being immortal to an extent, because even if you transition physically, whatever you wrote, whatever you put in that book, like, it's still here, you know? And so even with people making anthologies, like, I think about like folks like capturing those stories from just older people in their families, and even if they can't physically write it, they can tell it to someone, and that person can write it down and get it into something. So it's like always important, like you said, even if you just write one thing, at least like leave your print somewhere, so you know people know, or people remember you who maybe have never met you or something, you know.
Okay. Yeah, he was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He was pretty awesome, quite inspiring all day. Even whether he could breathe or not, he's sitting there just going, writing all day and all night, and always checking the newspaper to see if he made it in something. That's one of my memories from childhood with him and my mom. We're always checking the paper to see if they made it, you know. So kudos to those who write and support from us, for those of us who are avid readers and love to see the legacy of writing continue, and other arts as well. So now that I'm finished ugly crying, and you know, it is what it is. Anybody that know me know this is gonna happen. But Nick, if you had any other questions for our guests, if not, we would love to be able to give them an opportunity for people to know where they can find them. First of all, people realize that whether you're watching this right now live, you will be able to come back and check it out on Mr. Westbrook's YouTube page at Nick Westbrooks. You'll also be able to check it out on my YouTube page at Mawalisa Temple 4610. And you know what? We'll have this available. We're sharing it out, and I'm hoping that Tierra and Samuel will share it out with their audiences as well. So Nick, I'll let you take a question from here if you have one, and then we give our authors an opportunity to share all of their good works and upcoming works with us.
Yes. I'll just say, before we transition, to that last segment, I'll have, right now, we want to surprise y'all, for the live, so there's no information in the description or the title right now, but now that we have done the live, for the recording, all the information will be on there, just in case you're watching, just in case you want to go back and grab all the links and all the information if you're watching live. But those of you that are watching the replay, it's already there. I don't have any other questions, but what I would love is before we get out of here, to get one more piece from each of our special guests, either from one or another book or another source. But I think we should finish off before they share their information and their contact information and what they have going on. Yeah, let's get one more piece, one more poem from each of our special guest artists.
I totally agree. That would be great.
Yeah. Just give me 30 seconds. Hold on.
So your IG is at Mr. Westbrooks?
Yes, sir.
Because I definitely want to follow you. I know that when I come back to the East Coast, I'm gonna probably come to your city. So I definitely would reach out to you. I'm gonna be in New York too later this year because I want to feature at the Langston Hughes House.
Okay, all right, yeah. I'd love to come on out, meet up with you, for sure.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna do one from my chapter on fathers, and I'll start off with like the opening. So each chapter has just kind of like a theme that I use to try and like set the tone, and then I'll go into like the poem. But the first half is gonna be fathers should be exonerated after being accused of imperfection when their only crime was being human. They should be repatriated back to their families, and their roles should be clearly defined so they too can be proud of their contributions. For what is the purpose of men if all men are no good? And then the title of the poem is A Bucket for Your Tears. And it goes, Dear fathers, your daughters are ignorant to the challenges you face. Our eyes are blind to the troubles you see. Our hands tremble with the slightest weight of your burden. Forgive us for not offering rest, and forgive us for offering rest and poetry as solutions. Your protection allows us to sleep peacefully at night. Your sacrifices make it possible for us to cry in public. Your authority frightens intruders. Your strength is our fortitude. How dare we assume your suffering is an act, or that your tears enjoy the silencing effect of your pillows? How dare we believe your fragility is non-existent, despite the constant cracking of your bones when you go to pick us up or to put us down? Your little girls forgot, or maybe they never knew, that their daddies needed to cry too. But fathers, please tell us, which basket is big enough to catch your tears and to conceal the sound of their heavy drops? On what planet can your daughters stand guard and defend your humanity? How do we resurrect the innocence of your spirit and remind the world that you belong here. Please, Daddy, let us know. Sincerely, your baby girls. And P.S., it's okay if you're not sure. Okay, that's it.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yes.
So it's on me. Okay. So what I would like to share is a moment, because if I do a short poem, then it doesn't give you the whole moment of what this can be. So this is a moment, and it starts like this. You, sensual being, at the edge of my pen, another complicated passion scripted right in, flowing through her like mountain rivers, leaving oceans of dreams. Like rain, I am the cradle to her life. I want to be the poem she reads, and then breathe the sounds of her. It's been a while since I've tasted beautiful, arousing earth tones. She be like coffee in my mornings. Her essence flows through me. I tell her she's that preview to my pain. We love hard. Have you ever felt black rain? I could never let her go. She tells me the same when she says, I'm your fiend, dark man. She's off the chain. Called me the Mackin game. I'm just hungry for her love. I show her we all flow differently. Some of us flow rhymes and call it therapy. She said my words have waves, so I took out my pen like she asked me. She said, write into me and make it nasty. Now she knows I would read her. It felt good discovering myself, true story, this past forgotten, these ancient memories feeding my soul. I wanted more, and she was giving. Invited me like home. She shared her emotions, leaving echoes on wall paintings. I spoke her name. She's dark girl magic. It wasn't her appearance I fell into, thinking this what makes me. She was that dare I needed, I had to. She spoke her mind, and I don't mind the inner beauty moves me. I could taste the hunger. After all, she's temptation. If only she knew, dark girl, I'll be loving you like a blind man would do. Every line curves too while painting my imagination. You see, I close my eyes when I hold you, my wanting embrace, discovering the goddess of my temptation. Let me caress you in anticipation of your desire. Know this, as I trace you to wet, picture this silhouette, matching every part of you, like the wind finger painting my affection, your body becoming my canvas, from thought to perfection, as I love the skin you're in. Thank you.
Complicated passage, y'all.
Yeah, Root tried to tell y'all. She
Try
tried
to
to
let
tell
him
y'all.
know he smoked up the airways,
No, he
baby.
really did.
He smoked them up. Yes, yes. So thank you both. And Nick, thank you for asking them each to read another piece. Tell us where people can find you. And Nick is going to put everything in the bottom, but just anything you'd like to share with us, any last thoughts, any suggestions for upcoming writers, anything that you'd like to tell the UnRead audience?
Oh, just to keep writing, never give up, never let anyone tell you that you can't. Never tell yourself that you have writer's block, because you don't. You can write about that if you want to. And just keep writing and your pen will flow. Speak your truth. I tell people, once you free your emotions, then you have unleashed the monster within. And the monster is you. So you just give them everything that you got. Don't hold back. Don't try to pretend. Don't make it up. Have it be real. And that's, if you believe it, the audience will believe it. Because everything that I spit, I believe every word that I say.
Yeah. I love that. I can't add anything else. I feel like Sam, you said everything like perfectly. I think the only thing I would just impress is to like just start. you know, like just start, just pull out the pen, pull out the pencil. If you text, sometimes you write through text, sometimes you're on like the computer. However you get like your voice and your ideas like out of your mind, just start pulling it out, and don't self-critique your voice. Like the way you speak, the way you talk, your dialect, your slang, your broken English, whatever it is, it's enough and it's good enough, and it's what like makes your voice unique. So try not to self-censor and just pull it out and just like let it live. So
I say,
Absolutely.
yes, yes. Nick, did you have any final thoughts for us?
No, I mean this was definitely a treat, you know, like as I knew it would be. I knew this would be amazing. So I just can't wait till the rest of the folks see it. You know, happy Poetry Month to everyone out there. Let's not let's not neglect, Poetry Month in the midst of everything else that's going on this month. But thank you all for giving us your time, sharing your stories, your experiences, your tips, and your expressions. And and don't forget to share, your contact information and whatever else you got going on.
Okay, Tara.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find you on IG, Tara. Are you on IG?
I am on Instagram. So if you look up Tierra, TIERRAS _ ABCs, you should find me on Instagram. Some people like doing LinkedIn. So my name is Tierra Holmes on LinkedIn. You can also look at my YouTube channel if you want to like look at the or listen to like the audio book version of like my book, and the YouTube name is Tierra's World. As far as like the hyperlink, I will make sure Nick has like the correct ones just so people can have like the right way to get there. As far as future projects, I have some things pinned, but like I said, it's not my day to day, I guess, with like my art. So I'll just say stay tuned. And Rue, I love you for just like offering to help me out and to be a part of like my little team when I get to that point. Like that's amazing. Samuel, it was so nice to meet you. I didn't realize I was being on here with like a poet laureate. Like you're like the real deal. So yeah, like this has been amazing. And Nick, thanks for like inviting me and thinking of me. But yeah, I'll make sure you have the correct links to like share with everyone. So
Thank you. Yeah, because I want to be able to follow you, and then I'm going to find your book on Amazon, purchase
yeah,
a
and I
copy,
need to find yours too.
and
Yeah.
then read it. And then one day you may hear me read one of your poems live, because I like to do that.
Oh wow.
I read other people's poems so as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. That would be dope.
Yeah.
Yes. Look at this. We are a happy little book family. I am so excited. Thank you so much, Sister Tierra, Brother Samuel, Nick. As always, this is what we do. So, I like to thank everybody who takes time out of their Saturdays to join us for our book review. We know that you could be anywhere, but you are here with us, nerding out over books, and we love it. Also, remember that if you have any books you'd like to share, unread or read, you can always send that information to Nick over at IG at Mr. Westbrooks, or to myself over on IG at Mawalisa Temple 1. Or if you old school like me, well, I would say write a letter, but you can hit the email. The email is mawalisatemple@gmail.com. And listen, we'd love to have you on. As you see, we have beautiful special guests on. Surprise. We love doing that, and we love honoring and celebrating the legacy of our people. And this is look at who we got going on right here. Like, this is one day, Nick, you see, we'll be able to say, hey, this is what we do. My book already says that. My book already says that. But thank you, everyone, for joining us on another Saturday of UnRead with Nick and Rue, brought to you by Mawalisa Temple, beautiful upstate New York, Hudson Valley. We thank you. You will be able to get the playback. All the information will be in the description area now that you know who our surprise guests were. Join us again in 2 weeks, where we'll be bringing some new books to you and our review. Until then, this is Nick and Rue, And brother Samuel, sister Tierra, thank you again for being here. And we will see you guys next week. Well,
Thank
2
you.
weeks. 2 weeks. Peace.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.